Can you hear me?
I can
Okay.
hear you, sir.
All right, great. So, I mean, the question is very timely, because Africa needs to really find a way to have its own way of resolving its own conflict without, including external forces. If we talk about the conflict that you mentioned, the situation has been going on for years, and Congo is accusing Rwanda of embezzling its resources to be able to build its own economy, and then selling some of these raw materials to Europe, especially gold and all these minerals that are plentiful in Congo. And Rwanda is claiming that no, instead it's some of the Congolese that are trying to that are fighting Rwanda and trying to, exert some kind of pressure on the government to do a certain number of things. And so this has been going on for years. And so the United States stepping in, trying to solve this problem has become very complex because, the U.S. is coming in with with something behind his head, which is to get as much in terms of resources as possible from Congo, given the fact that China is becoming a very difficult partner or different. China is it's going toe to toe with the U.S. Because of this tariff issue that U.S. is slapping everybody with today. So China has been reluctant to sell its own minerals to the U.S. I know discussions are ongoing, but in the meantime, U.S. is trying to find places where they can get those rare earths, minerals that are very important to its military industry. And so, it's going to be difficult for that piece to be realized because of the interests of the United States and that are not always aligned with the interests of the two parties. But I would suggest that this conflict be resolved between Africans. And that I think we have some initiatives from different leaders, South Africa, who came in, who even sent troops, to help solve this issue, but things have gotten out of control there. And so the new government in Congo also has not been very practical, very pragmatic in trying to, understand, what the international community can bring forth, to help to solve the issue. They have not been very, astute, in trying to use that community. But they have been, completely aligned with the West on these issues, which is creating a lot of tension within Congo itself. Within the previous government, also Kabila, who was sentenced to death, I believe. And in a situation where the country is in a deep crisis. So the way they've gone about it also is not very appropriate, especially when you are in a conflict with your neighbor. But I think there's opportunity here to involve more leadership in Africa. People who have more, gravitas, who are more respected. And maybe partnership with business community. The business community also may help. We've seen Dangote, building, infrastructure in that whole area, and maybe that could also persuade some of the leadership in that region to, instead of fighting for minerals, they can work together and benefit because, every country in Africa has resources. It's just a matter of using them to the benefit in an appropriate way. There's no need to be stealing, to be fighting over the resources. We can share. We have enough. God gave us enough for thousands of years to come. And so I don't see why we have to go into fighting. But in order for us to be able to get to that peace, we have to put together some kind of strategy, led by some leaders that are really respected in the community, in the different part of the continent. Even business, partners can also chime in and try to exert pressure on both sides so that they can come to an agreeable, solution without involving the United States. Because once the United States is involved, we know that's 1,000% its own interest, and they're not just necessarily aligned with our interest. Media has always been very, very important in conflict resolution. Not just in Africa, across the world, but it's also been a tool for conflict creation.
Absolutely.
So because of all these, all these propaganda that are thrust on people every day, every night, all day, that propaganda has effects. And we've seen, for example, in Rwanda, what the role of media has been there for to create the environment for genocide to happen.
Absolutely.
Right? So in Cameroon, there is the level of corruption that exists in the media is just so much that you really don't know, what the media what is the role of media anymore? Because very few media are serious, are very organized to allow the public to really get the news without being led one way or another in one or many directions. So it's very complicated, and we always say that the media doesn't live out of society. The media reflects what the society is. And so if there's rampant corruption, it also happens, affects the media, and it affects the news that the media, puts out there. And so Cameroon just had an election, a presidential election, for example, right? So and there are different views on the situation right now. There is a government, the president that was elected, that the Supreme Court has proclaimed as the winner of the election. But the political class and the population, a good part of the population, disagree with that. They claim there was so much fraud that it's not possible that Mr. Biya could be re-elected, given his age, for example, given what he hasn't done for the past few years. And Mr. Chiroma, who is the one who claimed to be the winner, has left the country, and he's trying to figure out how he can get get the people to fight and bring him to power. This is all very complicated. So that means he's going to, they're going to engage in negotiation. I mean, what I've heard, they've engaged in negotiations, and the media has been sharing that negotiation, the aims of the negotiations. And I don't know. It seems like it has stopped, and so. People are.
There's actually a proliferation that we have at this particular moment, and that is the one aspect that I see how probably the aspect of internal politics or personal gains, and how it is probably challenging the position of a nation faced with external, external challenges.
Yes, and so that is the issue, and so all these. In the situations that the situation that I'm talking about between those two leaders who claim to be leaders, they have an effect. It has an effect on the country and the way people behave, and the media also is taking sides. And so we are going to see a situation where we may get out of control. The situation may get out of control if people don't come to their senses and understand that we only have one place, one country. And that we need to, make sure that everybody is exercising restraint and doing what is appropriate for the country without, going to the extremes. So, and that happened also in Rwanda. It happened in various parts of the continent. And the media has a very eminent and very important role, because if they don't report the information appropriately. Now, not everything has to be reported. That's also a responsibility of the media.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's something that is not good for the community, for the people to hear or to know, then it's fair to censure that. But we don't just share everything for the sake of sharing because we are journalists. Media have that role to play. But the most important aspect of the role of media is to provide a responsible news, responsible information that will help further the positive growth of the country and its citizens, instead of dividing them, instead of exacerbating tensions or divisions or pain points. But so that's what I would say about that question. But I think it's far from from being achieved at this point, and we have a lot of concerns right now with the role of media in the continent, and this is a lot of work that journalists themselves have to do.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to give some statistics about global wars for the past 200 years, for example, right? So United States is leading the pack with about 224 military conflicts, right? That is the most, from one country. And United Kingdom is following with 171, wars and 83 interventions, between the segmenting between wars and interventions. And France also had dozens of wars, colonial wars, about 50 plus interventions. Russia, Soviet Union's 25 interventions, and so on. So from an African perspective and from Pan-Africanist perspective, war too often is imposed or perpetrated by external powers, right? So it serves as an instrument of domination, and that is going to deepens Africa's challenges and undermines the unity, the development, and the sovereignty of the continent. So Pan-Africanism, stands for indirect opposition, to that legacy. So the ultimate response is clear and uncompromising. Africa must refuse to be a battlefield for the ambitions of others, and reject war as a mechanism of control that we see, it has been used against us for the past 200 years. So instead, the continent should harness, its diversity, its history, its shared destiny, to build peace and foster collaboration, and as well as drive sustainable prosperity. So for Pan-Africanists, the solutions are dialogues, integration, innovation, solidarity, and that's part of what we call the Mahat, the Mahat, philosophy that our ancestors used before, long before colonization or slavery started. So those are the antidotes for division and exploitation. So to finish my point, true power for Africa is going to be it lies in not in war, but in rejecting external manipulation, in standing together, as a unity, as a united force, and forging also a future that will be built on unity and self-determination. So that's the path forward for Pan-Africanists, that are a powerful force today on the continent.
Okay.